Good evening, traders. This is Mike Rabinowitz on the 25th of April. This is Sunday night, guys, and I told you I'd get back to you, give you an idea of what maybe to expect for the upcoming week. And I believe that when I had left on Friday, we were in the process of building, and I talked about the two scenarios that was either they were going to keep ramming them up and making a new contract high, or they're going to take profits in. It was classic rollover, and they took some serious profits off the table, and I think you're going to expect that as we keep making these higher highs. I just think sustainability could be difficult. I think people are a little nervous as to the extent of this rally and to whether or not it has the capability of holding these extreme higher levels. But at the end of the day, we just want to keep trading the trend. It doesn't make a difference what we think it might do. We only want to trade what we're seeing and, you know, best prepare ourselves for the opportunities to get on board. And I always talk about, I mean, basically this market has been kind of a no-brainer to the upside for God. I can't even begin to tell you where this thing started from, but at the end of the day, you just see the overall strength of this market, and it just keeps churning to the upside. And it's all fine, I mean, we all want to get on board and take advantage of it, but you're going to have to be cautious at these extreme levels, and you have to be prepared for exhaustion and fatigue at these higher highs, and thus doing so, you want to be prepared for the counter trend shorts at the extreme levels. I believe I also thought that the pivot would come up at around 50s, 55. It came at a 62 for tomorrow. But here's what I want to show you, and I think this is, and I don't know how this will play out. It doesn't really make a difference. I think it's all about anticipating where the market can go, and we don't know. But at the end of the day, it's good to really get a read, and this is what I love to do, and it's something I like to share with you guys. I always talk about the daily chart. I think it's my bread and butter for the big picture always, and you just take a look at this, and you can see, and here's where, and my philosophy is all about the moving averages, whether you're trading them on the intraday, on your 15, and or the big picture. And I basically it's how is price reacting to the moving averages on your intraday 15 to start your trading session, and then what happens when price breaks from the moving averages, and which tends to lead to your pivot levels. And I want to briefly pop these in if I can see these. I think 60, and here's your opening. This is the your brackets. These two vertical lines is your trading session for tomorrow morning. So I'm going to plot these now, and I think 60, 62 is your pivot. I think, well, let me take a look. 40, I think 40, I'm not sure, actually 32 is your S1. It's all the way down there, but I think the bigger numbers. So let's put this in here and get plot these. Okay, we'll just it's just a ballpark, so I'm just gonna put it down here somewhere. Okay, and that's your S1, and R1 is all the way up at 92. That will be a new high if we get there. I don't know how this is gonna play out overnight. It doesn't make a difference. This is how I'm preparing for the session coming up. This trend line right here is pretty significant. This holds everything in play, and pretty much this is just really only a short-term trend to the upside coming from our most recent low of last week. Probably take it even further. Um, Let me just see what lows we got that I couldn't really help. Yeah, I think that's, actually 15 is the big number, and I think that is S2. So that's obviously the big number that can break the camel's back. So let's take a look at this, and I want you to be prepared for tomorrow. I don't know how this is going to play out overnight. Doesn't make a difference. But what we do and how we play off this 40 area, this 55, 50 area, is pretty huge, and I'm going to show you why. Here's your MAs coming in right now at 52. All right, and you can see this trend line is coming in at about 47, 52 to 47, right there. So you want to watch that. In fact, right in here, these are lows right in here. That's 40. This highs right here. So these are areas you can help for retracements, and you want to be prepared because if they're going to take some money off, they're going to do it early in the week, as they usually do, unless it's a full-out correction. And then you're just going to have to see how that plays out. But retracement areas are opportunities to get long. You're in a bull trend extreme. Obviously, it's going to start with how the market handles the daily pivot. Okay, and that's where you're going to start your day. And right now, we're pretty much just at it. Even to help you and to help maybe make your connection to all this is take a look at the Dow. And this is the Dow. And 33.7 is a number you should just right to the side. That's your support level. They're sitting well above it. In fact, right now, they're sitting above their MA at 33,880. But we don't know what this thing's going to do overnight. So right now, it's anybody's guess. But understanding these support levels are going to be really helpful. In fact, here's the Nasdaq. This MA is coming in right down here. And also for you who trade the Nasdaq, this is a good way of getting an overnight read of pullback areas, which are going to help you whenever there's kind of a shakeout. So, this is our chart right now. This is basically what you're seeing so far, as far how it's played overnight. You can see, and I don't make much of the overnight interest right here. And you got at the end of the day, what we do in the morning when the big players are on board at 8:30. That's when you're going to really see what they think and where this market should go. So you know what? I'll let them play it out overnight. And if they push them to make higher highs, then I'm going to be looking for the opportunity to short the extreme highs unless I see any other signals. I just think we're really reaching it with these higher highs, and whether they're sustainable, we're just going to have they're going to have to prove it. So as a trader, I'm going to challenge those extremes, and if I get a signal that says it, I'm going to take it. Ideally, I want to be long. I want every opportunity possible to be long, but they need to be from where I find them more preferable, and that's going to be down here. And I think some of the big players are going to play it the same way, and you'll see that more and more as you trade. You can see the meltdown on on Friday. We made this contract high a little bit around 130, and look at that roll down. It just basically just nobody wanted any part of those higher highs. They just took a bunch of money off the table. Pretty significant rundown. But you know what? We'll see how they push this in the morning, or at least overnight, and then we'll see how the big players play it. So this is just a way to get you guys, get your minds thinking. How do I want to attack this market? Where do I want to attack this market? I mean, I'm a bull trend extreme. We keep making higher highs. Do I want them up at these levels? Do I have confirmation at these levels that the long opportunity is going to be to play right out of the bat? You know, I'd never make any plays at this stage during the overnight sessions, unless of course it's an extreme uh, high or an extreme low that I think needs to be challenged. But I think it's best to always sit in your hands, wait for the morning, get a read, see how they're playing it overnight, and then see how. Because I always talk about what they do overnight and whether or not they repeat. And basically, on Friday session, the overnight Thursday night session, they couldn't get above 41, and that was really where this is all going to be your big support. Will be 41. That's where this trend line's coming in. That's the number I showed. It's a little higher now, but that's an ideal location. And if you get it, it's an opportunity to consider the reversal long. If everything confirms that it's going to hold the price. Listen, all these areas are there. Everybody sees it. We all know it. But at the end of the day, you need to see confirmation from them. Okay, just because we might anticipate that price might come down to 50 or maybe even 41.30, you know, at the end of the day, let them prove what they want to do. And when they get to these areas, then you look for the opportunity to present itself and whether or not the reversal and the big players are getting on board. at the value locations. But like I said, it's all hearsay now. I don't know how this is going to play out overnight. I don't know if there's any global issues that may affect this market. At the end of the day, all I know is one thing. We are in a bull trend extreme. We've been in it for a really long time. I'll bring this daily chart out for you just to see the extent. I mean, this is the Dow right here. I'll show you this chart first if I can clean it up. I mean, just every sell off, and these are key numbers you want to watch. These little knockdown numbers are numbers that are retracement levels when this market does correct. You know, you do the homework on that. I don't know if you guys trade, if all of you trade the Dow. I like watching it. I think it's relevant to a lot of the positions I put on in the ES because they work well together, as well as the Nasdaq. But you got to bear in mind the Nasdaq is a little thinner and a little choppier, so the moves there are really quick. And I tend to enjoy, if I'm going to trade these markets, I only want them from the extreme locations because I think that's where your highest probabilities of success are going to come from. The rest of them are just, you got to be quick and then just moves too fast. You know, if I'm going to play these markets, I want them from an area that I believe I have the highest probability of making money from. So that is this. Let me take a look real quickly at the ES chart. You can see right here, and this thing has been just rocking. And it's a right fact. You got all the support down here. This is the big number, 4116. That's nothing more to it. That's huge. We triple bottomed off of that area. They didn't want anything to do with it. We attacked it multiple times last week, and they ran away from it like the plague. So, right now, these are the numbers. And here's your trend line. This is why I keep talking about the 45. That's about 44, okay? And you can see that the MA, the moving averages, is right above it on a daily. So that's why I emphasize the 49 to 45 area. And that's like where this 50 is coming in. By the time you open up tomorrow morning, that's where your trend line is. That's going to be a key location right out of the gate. What are they going to do if they get there? I don't know how this is going to trade overnight. It doesn't make a difference. This is about anticipating where price may go and having a plan to trade it when it gets there. And that's the big part of trading these markets. Be prepared and take advantage of when it gets there. That's the key to being a successful trader is anticipate where price might go. And when it gets there, you're ready for it because you've done your homework on it. So this is kind of the late night analysis rolling in tomorrow. Guys, I don't know how this is going to play out during the week. It doesn't make a difference. At the end of the day, is take a look at the locations and see how well they've played off them, the highs, the lows. Pay attention to them. But I think at the end of the day, you're always going to want to know right out of the chute, especially the bull trend extreme, is how is the price reacting to the moving averages on your daily chart, which is right, not the daily, the 15, the intraday trading chart. Those are different than the MAs here because it takes a little less data than this. This is taking in multiple data points. So, right away, this is what you want to pay attention to. How is price reacting to the moving averages within the intraday? Is going to give you a general idea of the early morning trade. And then when we break from them, what is price doing at the key locations? You're in a bull trend extreme. So let me emphasize what market state's supposed to mean to these locations. Generally, you know, the probabilities increase to the upside in a bull trend extreme from the locations. So if you get a sell off down to the pivot, the game plan is to look for the market to stall and reverse with confirmation back to the upside. The market's supposed to maintain structure back to the upside. It doesn't always work out that way. It can break structure, and structure would break down to here, where there's greater significance and importance to the upside. This is the area that you want to pay great attention to, because the probabilities increase to the market holding from here. It could fail from here because it's so close to settlement. And here's where you're going to want to see what they're really thinking. And you're going to have to pay attention to what the institutions are doing at this level. And that's going to give you a fairly good read on whether or not the market's going to hold structure and rebuild back to the upside and continue to bull trend extreme. Obviously, if we fail this trend line, and the market is in jeopardy of kicking back, and it kicks back and take it all the way back down to here, 4130, which is where these two bottoms come into play. But the bigger number, obviously, is going to be at 4115 down to 4100. In fact, let's take a quick look. I want to see where S2 and S3 is tomorrow. S2 is at 37. And you look where I take it back. S2 is at 4107. I don't know if we're getting there at the end of the day. That would be, and this big trend line right here is probably the monster trend line right here, guys. 4100, which is right at where S2 would be, and that would be a key pivotal location that could turn this bull trend into corrective trade, or actually correction. I couldn't say that. Correction is so much further down. This market has rallied so much, it would take extreme sell off for this thing to become. And we just don't know. I don't know how this market's going to react. We're really taking a hard drive to the upside, guys, but they continue to hold. And there's so much optimism out there, but you just never know when they're gonna pull the plug and start taking money off the table. And you'll know because it's going to come and it's going to come hard. And that's why I keep emphasizing the locations and pay attention to them. These little areas here are going to really come in handy when the market does sell off. And that's when these moving averages really pay out nicely. We haven't gotten there yet. So, you know what? This is going to be conversation for another day. At the end of the day, you're paying attention to what price is doing at your moving averages on your intraday. That's going to set the tone for the session early, okay? As it always does. You've seen this play out constantly. I mean, just the price just continues fluctuating around moving averages, just as the way it is. And, what it does from those locations will start challenging your intraday pivot levels. The pivot, which is right there, and or S1, SR1, whatever direction the market's going. Generally, when the market holds above the moving averages, price tends to accelerate to the upside. And if that's the case, then the objective is going to most likely try to get to the next key level. And it's not going to go in a straight line; it's going to meander. But that would be the most likely objective if the market's going to really push the bull trend and continue its extreme higher highs. Ideally, I love to see this thing come down in the morning to around the pivot. And then let's see what they're really thinking. It's overnight. It's too early to tell. But you know what? This is just being ready for the week and preparing yourself for when to engage and how to be ready to make really significantly good, strong, powerful trades that are really high probability areas. And when you engage from these locations and you put your proper stop in, you're really going to see how well it plays out for you. And listen, it's not a perfect science, and I'm not saying you're not going to have trades that are going to fail. You're all going to have trades that fail, and you're going to know, and you're going to tell. But at the end of the day, it's really about being able to withstand it, and you staying confident with your game plan and how you trade. All right, don't let it ever affect you to the point you have losers. I have losers. It's the nature of the business. At the end of the day, you want to be consistent, and this is probably one of the better ways of staying consistent trading these markets. So this is just my input. This is MR Strategies on Sunday night. We'll see how this closes out the month, and listen. I hope you guys had a great weekend. Remember, market state. Where are we? We're in a bull trend extreme, making higher highs. And the higher probability successful trades are going to come from the key locations and how well they reverse off of them. We're building now. It's too early to tell. So let's see how this thing plays out in the morning. In any event, guys, have a great night. And you know what? I'll get in touch with you guys tomorrow and see how this thing plays out. Maybe in the morning if there's anything really significant. But those are the areas you should look at to get your week started. All right, guys? Take care.